Hello, I'm Justin Charlton-Jones. I'm one of the coaches behind the No Limits business community, and today I'm talking to you about episode 3, Practical Strategies for Enhancing Margins. And I'm now going to talk to you about waste elimination, or what I'd rather call it is getting things right first time. Did you know that £21 billion is spent in the UK construction industry each year fixing errors that have been made during construction that could have been avoided? Research funded by the Construction Industry Training Board, their Get It Right initiative, has identified that in the UK construction sector, the overall cost of avoidable errors is on average 21% of a project's value. That's more than the average profit margin for a typical construction job. So, let's get things right first time. This principle will help guide your company to create clear intentions, a better team mindset, and help everyone to be mindful. That way they can avoid the trap of cutting corners in order to just get things done. But it all begins when the company leaders lead by example and take ownership of their own processes and directives. And whether you run a one-person business or you have a growing small business that's quickly adding new products or hiring additional employees, doing it right the first time will benefit your business in the long run. So, have a good look at your business and see if you can find ways to focus on quality products, quality services, and genuine value for all, and try to avoid the speed trap. And here are just some ideas for getting things done more quickly and but still getting them done first time. So, put things away. This is obviously most relevant if you're in a business where you manufacture things or you're working in some form of a workshop. But even in your own office, most items only take a few minutes to put away, yet we leave them out. If we do that a few times, suddenly we have a bigger mess to clear up. So take the few seconds required and put things away when you're done with them. The second thing is finishing tasks. And this is probably one of the biggest issues that people have in terms of getting it right first time. You almost complete a task. You take it to 99%. But then you stop, you leave it undone. Why? Take the few extra steps to finish it to done. I don't know whether you're old enough to remember the theory of Friday afternoon cars. There always used to be a thing in the motor industry back in the 70s and 80s where certain cars just generally were not very good. And that's because they'd been made on Friday afternoon when everybody was rushing to get out of the factory and finish for the weekend. That attitude still exists in a lot of businesses. So make sure when you start a task, you finish it properly. A third point is around cleaning up. Just think about your family life at home. There's a big difference between doing the washing up straight after supper and then leaving it and doing it the next morning. And this simple analogy applies to most cleaning up jobs. Don't create more work for yourself by putting off the cleanup. Another area to think about is throwing things away. When in doubt, throw it out. That's a good motto to help prevent clutter building up in your business. Don't keep things just because you might need them again. If you have items in your business that don't serve a definite purpose, that you're hoarding, then you're better off disposing of them. You never know, you might actually be able to sell them and even generate some revenue. But don't hang on to things just because you've got the space, because inevitably at some point you won't have any more space, and the space you do have will look incredibly untidy. Point 5 is about preparing for meetings. How many meetings have you gone to only to discover that the organiser isn't ready for the meeting? How many have you held where you've tried to wing it? So before a meeting is held, make sure that everything has been prepared in advance. This includes the obvious basics like booking a room and distributing materials. And make sure if you have materials that people need to have read before the meeting, you send them in advance so they have read them before the meeting, not during the meeting. And setting an agenda. Too many meetings end up creating secondary meetings because the first one wasn't run properly. And we should probably do an entire session on how to organise and chair meetings because it's a major source of lost time in most businesses. A sixth point, filing, particularly filing paperwork, but filing things you receive electronically. Paper, even in this modern age, continues to be one of the biggest disorganisation issues most people face. It piles up so fast it looks as though it's multiplying. If you file that document, that piece of paper, that thing that you've been sent as soon as you can, you won't end up with piles on your desk, you won't end up with hundreds of open emails or documents on your laptop. It could be as simple as just putting it into a relevant file or scanning it or throwing it away. Going back to that point, don't hoard stuff just because you can. A seventh point is around your team, and it's about yourself as well, which is about addressing bad behaviour. We have a saying in Action Coach, you get the behaviour that you tolerate. Don't let poor behaviour go unchecked, either yours or that of your team. Whether it's subpar performance or simply bad conduct, the longer it continues, the more damage it does. Address bad behaviour as soon as it happens, and you'll avoid a repeat pattern developing. Eighth point is about responding to email. How many times have you opened an email only to close it and leave it in your inbox? Don't fall into this half-done trap. As soon as you open an email, you either answer it, you file it, or you delete it. And if you're not prepared to do that, don't bother reading your email. And failing to respond to emails is usually a symptom of opening emails when you're already engaged in another task. Create a time to read and reply to your emails. You might even want to put a note in your out of office to say that you're only going to look at your emails at certain times of day. And then make reading your emails a task in its own right, not a distraction from other topics, other tasks you're already engaged in that will make you less efficient. The ninth point is about saying no. We all sometimes need to learn to say no. If you clearly say no, you won't be forced to continue making up excuses later. Instead of saying you can't because of so-and-so, just say no at the start. If you know you haven't got the time to do something, say no, so that you don't run out of time and leave things half finished. And then the final point is about fixing things that are broken. Whatever that might happen to be, whether it's something to do with your IT, something to do with something more physical in the business, how often do you put up with something that isn't working? Not only do things that are not working, that are broken, waste time, they can be dangerous when safety is involved. So if something is not working, if something is broken, make sure you fix it. So don't waste time doing things twice. Don't spend time doing the same tasks over again because you only did them half right the first time. If you've got enough time to go back and correct the issue in the first place, then you've had enough time to get it right first time. You just lacked the will to do it. So, create the discipline to complete your tasks, put things away, clear up when you've finished, do things right first time, and you won't have to do it again.